All right, so we want. This is important. That's why I want to make sure everybody here, because we got to talk about Pesach, man. We got to talk about Pesach because it was like the Most High just started pouring on me all this revelation. Man, I think that was in Count of the Omer too. No, that was on Pesach, so maybe that was right before. But that was unleavened bread, so that would technically be the first day of the Count of the Omer because that was first fruits at the same time. How everything that happened was the Pesach story. Everything that happened was the Pesach story. So, one of the things that was being brought out is how Aruka was the token basically to be written in the book in a sense. I'm trying to word it right, but it was the token of Pesach. It was the token. Y'all get what I'm saying? The token to make it into the ark was Aruka. That was the token to make it in. You get what I'm saying? Read Shemot chapter 12, verse 13.
Shemot chapter 12, verse 13. Now the blood shall be a sign for you on the houses where you are. And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. And the plague shall not be on you to destroy you when I strike the land of Mitzrayim.
Because see, read the King James Version too, just so you can see the contrast. This is Exodus 12, verse 13. Shemot 12, verse 13.
Exodus 12, verse 13, King James Version. And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are.
So the blood shall be to you a what?
A token.
So that's just letting you know when in New King James, when it says a sign, that's what it means. It's an oath. It's a sign, a token, oath. I think that's Aleph Uatav. But it shall be a token for you. Keep going.
And the blood shall be to you for a token upon the houses where ye are.
Upon the what?
The houses where ye are.
Isn't that basically where everybody went and presented their houses? And the token of that was Aruka. The token was Aruka. Keep going.
And when I see the blood, I will pass over you.
Okay, so hold on. So I'll just, is everybody through? Everybody paying attention? We through now? Okay, I just feel like I hear a lot of conversations going on. I'm not talking about the yellow dean, but if we could please do our best to pay attention, it'd be much appreciated. So, okay, so now the blood, keep going.
And when I see the blood, I will pass over you. And the plague shall not be upon you to destroy you.
So he says, and when he sees the blood, he will pass over him, meaning the destroyer. Wasn't the Melachim talking about the destroyer? They said to the nations, he's the El Shaddai, he's the destroyer. All that stuff they was talking about was biblical Pesach language. This isn't just, not minimizing what we're doing, but it's not just something we're doing. This is literally the Pesach in the scriptures too. This lines up with the scriptures as far as the concept of Pesach. And I know the Melachim ain't thinking that through like that. They just moving by how Yahuwah's telling them to move. But what happens is Yahuwah gives stuff to them, and then you're like, oh snap, that's in the scriptures. This has been happening year after year. When Yahuwah gave the sign, and so I submit this is a similar situation what we're dealing with. Listen, I submit the reason why the first generation didn't make it to the promised land is because they didn't get Aruka. Aruka was always the token. It didn't just start with us. The Most High don't change. He requiring of us the same thing he required of our forefathers in a sense. It may look different. It may not be 100% like equivalent as far as physically, but when you boil it all down, he requiring the same thing. The Feast of Unleavened Bread is about having Aruka. It's about being healed, y'all. That's what it's about. Okay. Go to Shemot chapter 1. So one of the things that was big, go to Shemot chapter 1 and start. So one of the things that was a real big thing in Pesach that the Melakim were bringing out was dominion through childbearing, right? Y'all remember that? That was the Pesach story. That was the whole Pesach story. Read Exodus chapter 1, verse 7, y'all.
Exodus chapter 1, verse 7. But the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly, multiplied.
Start with verse 5.
Okay. All those who were descendants of Jacob were 70 persons, for Joseph was in Mitzrayim already. And Joseph died, all his brothers, and all that generation.
So they went into Mitzrayim as 70 people. Y'all saw that? And what happened was all that generation died. So now you got a new generation, right? And let's look what happened. Verse 7.
But the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly.
They were fruitful and increased abundantly. That is dominion through childbearing. That is the dominion through seed. Y'all know we done went through the 12 portions enough. Y'all know that when Israel first went into Mitzrayim, they lived in a place called what? Oh man, only one person know that? When Israel first went into Mitzrayim, they were living in a place called what? Okay, woo, man. Woo, boy, that was a close one. I was like, oh yeah, we finna have to go through the Torah portion. We need to start the whole thing, Torah portion over again. But yeah, it was a place called Goshen. It was a set apart portion in a fruitful part of Mitzrayim. Is where all of Yasharel stayed at first, right? But what happened in Exodus 1 is scriptures say they filled the whole land of Mitzrayim after that generation died. They were so fruitful and multiplied that, y'all, they wasn't in Goshen no more. They filled the whole land. Dominion through childbearing. So when the Melakim are talking about this is the Pesach story. Read verse 7. Again, start with the top.
But the children of Israel were fruitful and increased abundantly, multiplied and grew exceedingly mighty.
And what else?
And the land was filled with them.
And the land was what?
Filled with them.
Okay, y'all reading what I'm reading? That means they wasn't just in no Goshen no more. If it says the land was filled with them, that's what it says. Look what Pharaoh said about them when they saw that the land was filled with Israelites now. Verse 8.
Now there arose a new king over Mitzrayim who did not know Joseph.
Look what he said when he saw that the land was filled with all these Israelites now.
And he said to his people, look, the people of the children of Israel are more and mightier than we.
They're more and what?
Mightier than we.
Dominion through childbearing, through seed. The new king, he understood that. He understood that concept. He's like, oh snap, they mightier than us. How is the Israelites mightier than y'all, and this is y'all country? He understood the concept of dominion through childbearing. This may be our country, but the way that they having children, they mightier than us. The way that they multiplying, oh, we in trouble. So he had the Well, read verse 10.
Come, let us deal shrewdly with them, lest they multiply. And it happen, in the event of war, that they also join our enemies and fight against us.
In other words, they having too many children. Let's oppress them. Let's persecute them. Because if we don't, they're going to end up turning on us and whooping our behinds. That's basically, they put it in a nutshell. They were scared to get them turning on them and whooping their behinds. All right. So you see that you see dominion through childbearing was the full concept in the Pesach story. Go to Shemot chapter 12 and read verse 22. We also saw that the blood was a token, right? Was a token of Pesach. That was what kept the destroyer from visiting your house. That's what enabled you to be sealed and engraven in a sense. That's what enabled you to make it in the ark, meaning you would be preserved from the plague. You see what I'm saying? It was the blood on the doorpost. That was the token. That was the sign, the blood of the Lamb. Okay? Let's read Shemot chapter 12, and let's read verse 22.
And you shall take a bunch of hyssop, dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the two doorposts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out of the door of his house until Boker.
All right. So when it says to put the blood on the doorpost, it don't just say to put the blood on the doorpost, does it? It says you actually take hyssop and dip it in the basin of blood. Then you strike the doorpost with the blood using what? Yeah. You dip the hyssop in the blood though. Y'all know Psalm 91, right? No, Psalm 51. Purge me with hyssop and I shall be clean. Yeah. Cleanse me and I shall be as white as snow. Y'all know why? Because hyssop is a cleansing agent. This is about the cleansing of the bloodline, which is a big part of Aruka. This is about the cleansing of the bloodline. Because remember, now I know in Christianity we just automatically said the blood of the lamb on the doorpost, that's Yahusha. They say the J word. The blood on the doorpost, that's Yahusha. And they thought they had that great revelation, which, and again, that's true. It does symbolize Yahusha, but it's more than that too. It's more to that. I mean, not more than that. It's more to that. Because Yahusha's body is the Kodesh seeds, is the sons of light. This is also symbolic of the seed. The whole concept of Pesach was about Kodesh seed. What was the destroyer going out to take out? All the firstborn. The destroyer was going to take out the seed. Y'all, this whole Pesach story is about Kodesh seed. When you go back to dominion through childbearing, when you go back to Exodus chapter 1, y'all know the story, so I don't think we have to go there. But what was one of the main things that Pharaoh did when he was scared of Mitzrayim because they were multiplying too much? To kill all the who? To kill all the male children, right? Because this was all about seed. And he knew, okay, they're having too much. They're gaining dominion over us through childbearing. So they said, okay, anybody who has sons, just take them out, kill them, throw them in the river, whatever. It was law. It was decreed for that to happen. So there was this big attempt at genocide all of Yasharal. So then we get to the Pesach portion, and Shemot 12, you was like, okay, The token is the blood of the lamb, but it has to be a cleansed blood. Dip it in the hyssop, symbolizing a Kodesh bloodline, a cleansed bloodline. Oh, and I see that. I'm going to pass over that. I'm going to take out all the firstborn, and anyone who don't have that on the doorpost, though. And it said there was not a house in Mitzrayim. Matter of fact, Malek was talking about this. If you didn't have the blood on the doorpost, in the Most High eyes, you Egyptian. If you don't have Aruka in the Most High eyes, you're Babylonian. If you don't have Aruka, you're a Babylonian, Miss Parker. You're a Babylonian dude with fringes and a mitri. You are not an Israelite. So you will be reckoned amongst Babylon when the plagues hit without the token. When the judgments hit, you'll be swept up with Babylon without the token. And I submit that this is why, okay? In Revelation 18, the scriptures say that Babylon is a cage of every unclean bird and every unclean fowl, every unclean beast. I'm paraphrasing, but we just went through that. Y'all remember that part? In Revelation 18, it says that Babylon is basically this cage of all these unclean fowl and unclean beasts, right? If you don't have Aruka, you're Babylonian because you become a haven of unclean ruachs, unclean birds. You become full of unclean ruachs. So you're Babylonian. That's basically what it boils down to. If you're a habitation of unclean spirits, you are Babylonian. You're supposed to be a habitation of the Ruach HaKodesh, y'all. Not a habitation of demons. That's why Yahuwah gave us dominion over the unclean birds and unclean fowls and unclean spirits. Why? So you can get Aruka. We've been talking about this for years. A big part of the cleansing of the bloodline and a big part of Aruka is what? Deliverance. All right, give me Genesis 1, verse. Bereshit 1, verse 27, and read verse 27 and 20. No, read verse 26. Read verse 26. Everybody there? All right.
Genesis 1, verse 26. Then Elohim said, let us make, I guess that's Yahuwah.
No, you were right.
Okay. Then Elohim said, let us make man in our image, according to our likeness. Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea.
Let them have dominion over what?
The fish of the sea.
Over what else?
The birds of the air.
Oh, snap. Isn't Babylon a haven of every unclean bird? But Yahuwah gave us dominion over the unclean ruachs. Even in the beginning, Yahuwah said that he's going to give mankind dominion over every fowl of the air. Babylon is a haven of every unclean fowl. Over the fowl of the air, over the birds of the air, and over what else?
Let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, over the cattle, and over all the arets, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the arets.
The beasts of the field, that's the other nations it represents. It was always prophesied that Yahuwah's people would have dominion over the nations. Having dominion over unclean ruachs is actually symbolic of having dominion over the nations, y'all. Having authority to drive out unclean ruach. It's symbolic of having dominion over the other nations. It's a level of dominion that you're having over the kingdom of darkness. That's who all the other nations are submitted to. You see what I'm saying? Just keep all that in mind. All right, let's go. So going back to and talk about hyssop. So the Hebrew word for hyssop, because that's the cleaning agent. That's H231. Oh man, what? Oh snap! That thing is done. All right, there we in there. H231, 31, and it is Azob or Azob. It's H231, and it's Azob. Man, this mug ain't through either. I need some more. All right. All right, that's good. All right. Yeah. That look a little better. Toda Rabah. Toda Rabah. All right, so that's Azob. Something like this, maybe Zob or Azub. Azub. That's the Hebrew word for hyssop. Aleph Zan Ua Bet. Aleph Zan Ua Bet. And it's basically Yahusha's weapon that secures the house. Yahusha, the strong leader's weapon, that's supposed to be the Zan. That secures, that's supposed to be a Ua, the house. That secures the house. That goes back to having the token. Being cleansed. Remember, hyssop is symbolic of being cleansed, the cleansing of the bloodline. That's why Dawid said, purge me with hyssop. He understood it, and I shall be clean. Cleanse me, not be whiter as snow. He's talking about being cleansed as far as from his sins, but it physically, like hyssop physically cleans out your insides. When he said, purge me with hyssop, he was talking about cleaning his inward part. Let's go there real quick so y'all see what I'm talking about. Psalm 51.
Where you want me to start? 1?
Nope. We get straight to the point on this one. Verse 7. Okay, y'all see this? Start with verse 6, because this is really going to show you all what this is saying. Y'all there? Psalm 51, verse 6? All right, let's go.
Behold, you desire truth in the inward parts.
What is that word for inward parts? Anybody can tell? Is that Kareb? Anybody can look that up real quick? Okay, what's that word? All right, I don't know what that means.
Tuka.
All right, keep going.
Behold, you desire truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part you will make me to know wisdom.
All right. So now it's talking about truth in the inward parts, and it says, in the hidden part, you will make me to know wisdom. Now, right after he's talking about his inward parts, what does it say in verse 7?
Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow.
So he's talking about his insides being cleansed. This also has the aspect of getting the refuge out of the house. Refuse out of the house. Because hyssop, that's what it does. Like David was being very clear on that. But ruachally, it means cleaning your insides, meaning being pure, like pure in your heart. Clean, as far as in intentions, in heart, and mindset, and motives. This is a big thing. This is what the Melachim been pushing real hard. Being pure in your intentions, in your heart, having a pure heart and a clean mind. And keep reading.
Verse 8.
Start with verse 9.
Come. Hide your face from my sins, and blot out all my iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O Eluah, and renew a steadfast ruach within me.
And renew a steadfast ruach where?
Within me.
This is about what's within you. This is about what's within you. And so and that word is kareb. Renew a steadfast ruach in my kareb. That's literally in your belly. You see what I'm saying? That's literally in your inward parts. Hyssop, if consumed, it purges your inward parts. So that's why Dawid was using that language, because it's about having a cleansed bloodline, a cleansed body, being pure in heart. That's why after Dawid said that, purge me with hyssop, a couple of verses later, he said, create in me a clean heart. It's all related to each other. You see what I'm saying? So when you saw hyssop and Shemot, when they were talking about dipping it in the blood, this is what they're talking about. And that being the token of being able to make it, of not being taken out by the destroyer, of your seed not being cut off. The seed that's going to flourish, that's going to make it, is those with a redeemed bloodline, those with a cleansed bloodline, those who have went through Aruka. Who will be able to make Kodesh seed? Those two people who have been through Aruka that joined together. That's the only people that'll be able to make Kodesh seed, y'all. That's what we're talking. The Kodesh seed that we're talking about. Two people that have went through their Aruka that get together. And so basically, okay, you didn't go through your Aruka. We're cutting off that seed. The destroyer is coming and going door to door. He's going house to house. Every house had to present himself. Every house. And the Melech said the token is Aruka. The Hebrew word is in leaven. Let's look at leaven, because this is a big one. We're the last day of unleavened bread. Leaven. The commandment on the Feast of Unleavened Bread is to what? Remove all leaven out of your houses. The scriptures say if there's any leaven found in the house, in any of your dwelling places, in any of your houses, that person is to be, it says his soul is to be cut off. But what does leaven represent? I'm going to do like a Met. I'll copy out for Met on this one. What does leaven represent? What else? Yeah, y'all on it, man. What else? You said impurities? Secret. That's a long word right there. There we go. Impurities. What else? There's one specifically I was looking for. But rebellion? Yeah. Insecurities? That's a good one, Anthony. I agree. I agree with that. Insecurities. What else? All right. Let's see. All right, give me I'm not gonna give this to y'all. Give me Luke chapter 12, verse 1. Luke chapter 12, verse 1.
Luke 12, verse 1. In the meantime, when an innumerable multitude of people had gathered together so that they trampled one another, he began to say to his disciples, first of all, beware of the leaven of the Pharisees, which is hypocrisy.
Y'all heard that? So what's another thing that's 11? Hypocrisy. Let's see what that. Let's dig into that. So that's the Greek word hypocrisis. Hypocrisis. I don't even know. But hypocrisis. That's the Greek word. That Greek is different, man. Let me see. There's a Hebrew equivalent. Hypocrisis. It says there are no concordance results for this in the Greek Septuagint. All right. So we're going to have to deal with the Greek on this one. All right. So it means, it's showing here biblically, it means in answering. An answer. It says the acting of a stage player, dissimulation, hypocrisy. Because when we think of hypocrisy, we automatically think. I just want y'all to know it's deeper than what we think. We think in the English word hypocrite, which just means somebody who's not practicing what they talking about. You know what I'm saying? So the biggest y'all know. You have the pastor on there, oh man, it's a sin to the Most High made Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. And they'll do all that, and then you find out they was out, on some whole gay stuff, messing with boys and everything, and you'd be like, oh, that's so hypocritical, That's what we think of when we think of a hypocrite or hypocrisy, but it's deeper than that. Well, it's not deep. I ain't gonna say that, but it's just more to it than that. It's not really deep at all, but it's just about it's like a false face. It's an acting, putting on an act, being something that you're not, et cetera, et cetera. You don't have to necessarily, even if you're practicing it on the surface, you're not being really real. That was a big thing of the Pharisees. And that's like, okay, so I'll give you an example of, so a Ferris, a real, I would say that may fall under that umbrella of biblical hypocrisy is, oh, you don't have no issues. You don't struggle with nothing. No, I'm a leader. I don't struggle with, you know what I'm saying? That's y'all. Y'all got to get it together. You know what I'm saying? But me, I'm a leader. No, I don't deal with those things. I don't struggle with those. I'm different than you. You know, those types of things like that. No, that's why you notice, like, the leaders in Rebirth, we you know, Melaking, you know, they're like, oh, nah, I struggle with that. You know what I'm saying? Man, look, Malek did a whole lesson on perversion. Struggle with, you know, and I done shared with y'all multiple times on different things I struggle with. Hey, look, you know, hey, I understand. I don't struggle with them things, man. Look, this is how how we can get through that. You know what I'm saying? So on and so forth. But it's like a level of false face, though. That's leaven, because it's associated with what? Pride. That's really what it all boils down to. So, all right, let's Oh, the verse right after that. Go ahead and read the verse right after that. Verse 2.
Verse 2, okay. For there is nothing covered that will not be revealed, nor hidden that will not be known.
Come.
I was just saying that goes with the verse for today. If you could read Proverbs 28:13.
He who covers his sins will not prosper, but whoever confesses and forsakes them will have mercy.
Man, okay. So here's another one. This is the one that I was really looking for. Go to Matthew 16, verse 5.
Okay.
Everybody there?
No. 16, verse 5. Matthew 16, verse 5. Everybody there?
All right.
Now, when his disciples had come to the other side, they had forgotten to take bread.
Oh, keep going, my bad. Keep reading all the way down.
Then Yahushua said to them, take heed and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and of the Sadducees.
All right, so take heed and beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees. Okay, let's keep going.
And they reasoned among themselves, saying, it is because we have taken no bread. But Yahushua, being aware of it, said to them, O you of little faith, why do you reason among yourselves because you have brought no bread? Do you not yet understand or remember the 5 loaves of the 5,000 and how many baskets you took up? Nor the 7 loaves of the 4,000 and how many large baskets you took up? How is it you do not understand that I did not speak to you concerning bread, but to beware of the leaven of the Pharisees and the Sadducees?
Keep going.
Then they understood that he did not tell them to beware of the leaven of bread, but of the doctrine of the Pharisees.
But of the what?
But of the doctrine of the Pharisees.
But of the what?
The doctrine.
Keep going.
of the Pharisees and the Sadducees.
So, what is that showing that leaven is as well? A doctrine, which is an ideology, a teaching, an understanding that is contrary to the Most High, y'all, to the ways or the teachings of the Most High. Y'all understand that? I'll just put bad doctrines. Because it don't necessarily got to be false doctrine. False doctrine too, but don't got to be false. It could be something that's true, but it's against the Most High though. Bad doctrine. Actually, false doctrines are usually pretty easy to not fall for. What you got to watch out for is the bad doctrines. They've been mixed the truth in there with some lies in there, some half truths in there, and that's what'll get you. That's what'll get you if you're not really rooted and grounded. If you have any, let me tell you something. If you're dealing with seeds of doubt, you have belief. You're moving kind of hypocrisy. Hypocritically, and you in this assembly, but you don't really believe it like that, and you know you don't. It's only a matter of time before you get overtaken by some sort of bad doctrine, and you'll be sealed to it. Because you were filled with leaven. You went into Pesach and you didn't get all the leaven out. You still had leaven in your house. Your body is your house too, right? You're supposed to have all the leaven out of your house before you go on Pesach, before you go on unleavened bread, technically. Scripture say anybody who has any leaven found in their house is to be cut off. That's why they went into Pesach. They went into unleavened bread and they still had leaven in their houses. They didn't do the work of Aruka. They didn't get the leaven out of their house before they went in and made all these declarations to engrave their name, y'all. Malek warned everybody. He said, man, you're going to be given over to the aim of your heart. You're supposed to have your heart clean, like Dawid had professed in Psalms 51. Purge me with hyssop. They're supposed to have their blood cleansed. You're supposed to have went through Aruka before you went to Pesach and unleavened bread. Because doctrines represent, this is one of the biggest ones. Doctrines represents ideologies, understandings, and teachings that you receive that are contrary to Yahuwah. This is why. But we grew up in Babylon. There's a lot of doctrines and leaven that was instilled in you since you were born. Ideologies and teachings that how you don't think you had nothing in you from Babylon? You went to public school? What? Y'all didn't even get to go to no private school. Even y'all who went to private school, most of y'all private school was Christian school. Christian private school. And y'all think y'all don't have no leaven of Babylon? These are people who are they have so many ideologies and teachings that are contrary to the Most High. They're instilling it in you, and you don't think that none of that's gonna stick to you because you said you were Israelite. None of that stuck to you. You crazy. I watch Christians ignore everything. Abraham, Yaakov, they ignore all that and go straight to a scripture. And Paul said, but Paul said only one wife is a bishop. See, gotcha. What? You just ignored everything that the Torah and Tanakh said. But what about this scripture? See, gotcha. That's a Christian mindset. Let me find the gotcha scripture. I'm just ignore all the other stuff, all the other evidence. I'm gonna ignore it and just try to find a gotcha scripture. Like, you can't do that. You can't ignore this stuff that's, you can't just say, well, this one versus all them 8. No, if there's one scripture that seems to contradict the other 20 scriptures, that shows that you may have a misunderstanding here on the one. You can't pin one scripture against other scriptures from the same allure unless you serve a different allure. Full of leaven. That was the issue with the Pharisees and Sadducees. They was full of leaven because they really served something else. They really were Babylonian. A lot of the Pharisees and Sadducees, I submit the Most High looked at them as Romans. Yeah, did y'all know that? The Pharisees was in bed with Rome. This is real life. If y'all look at it historically, y'all look at even what Josephus was talking about from the history books, y'all even look at how they did Yahushua, how the Pharisees moved. They didn't like Yahushua because they like, man, he gonna mess up what the good stuff that we got going with Rome. He gonna mess it up for us. We need to come against him. They were sellouts, y'all. They were in bed with Rome. They were no different than your sellouts today. They were in bed with the government. They were in bed with the enemy. They had deals with the enemy, y'all, to keep the status quo going. That was the Pharisees. To keep the Israelites in line. Don't that sound like Christianity? Them black churches, they not allowed to speak about certain things. That's the 501c3. That's under the rules. The government like, okay, I'm going to make a deal with you, okay? 501c3, everything tax-free. Everything. Everything. But you can't talk about certain things. You can't. Don't go in there doing that super woke stuff. Don't go in there to just talk about, just keep everybody in line. Because the church was such a big part of the civil rights movement. During the days of Martin Luther King and stuff like that, I know but the reality is that, man, hey, the church was actually a force at one point in time. And the government was like, we got to dismantle the black church. We got to. They had too much. They were doing too much. So they took out Martin Luther King. They had to take out the head first. Took out Martin Luther King. And then, okay, hey, look. Now we got to raise up leaders that are going to sell out. Like, who was that dude that was with Martin Luther King? Jesse Jackson? Pastor Jesse Jackson and all that? Well, now we just need some people that'll sell out. We'll prop you up. We'll make you the leader of the blacks. Al Sharpton. That's the Pharisees. Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton. It's just like today. Nothing new under the sun. It's the same people. It's the same enemies, the Esau, you know what I'm saying, and so on and so forth. The Romans, the beast, the fourth beast. With the captivity we're in today is an extension of the fourth beast, which was the Roman Empire. America is just an extension of the Roman Empire. Y'all understand that, right? The European powers. And so it's the same enemy. They doing the same things. Y'all read Maccabees? What do? They went up to the priest. They was like, I tell you what, if you just sell out, we'll make sure you through. He went up to the priest of the Most High. I can't remember his name. Was that, I can't remember his name right now. Mattathias? The father was Mattathias, and then he had 5 sons? This is in the story of Hanukkah, my bad. The story of Hanukkah. And the Maccabees, Greek, which is the extension of the Roman, they're the same, the European powers. The Greeks were the first ones. They were like, hey, just sell out, and we'll make sure you through. We'll prop you up. You'll be the leader of the Israelites. Just tell everybody to go ahead. It's okay to offer up a pig on the altar. Just tell them it's okay. This goes back up to what Redayahu was bringing up. That would have been real tempting because this, man, look, Greek, they was brutal. They was killing everybody trying to keep Torah. You keeping Torah, they taking you out. And so he went up to this dude. He was like, man, he was very well renowned, very well respected amongst Yasharah. He was a priest. He was of the lineage of the Levites. He's like, man, I'll give you an ultimatum, man. I'll let you go ahead and be propped up. We'll make you a top leader. Just tell everybody to go ahead and start offering up the pork on the altar. Mattathias, man, he was looking at the dude, and then what happened was, it was another Israelite who heard, he just overheard the discussion. He's like, oh, hold on, boss, you said you'll do what? Like, man, I'm talking to Mattathias, but Mattathias, I'll make you top. I mean, you'll never need for nothing. I'll make you top dog in Yasharal. I'll make sure you rich and you'll never need for nothing, and your children. I'll do it. Oh, no, there's another dude, Israelite. I'll definitely do that. You'll do what? Let me do it. He got a pig. He was about to go to the altar to offer up the pig. And Mattathias ran up on him and killed him on the spot. Real true story, the Hanukkah story. He ran up on him, killed him on the spot, then turned around and looked for the Greek messenger and killed him on the spot. Killed him too. Y'all know how crazy that was, though? That's like taking out a police officer. That was crazy. You just didn't care about life after that. He killed a Greco-Roman messenger. Said, man, you know what? Forget you too. You come over here with that mess. Boom, he done too, dead. Everybody who with me, roll with me. And that's what started the war. Nothing's new under the sun. That's their goal. So that was the Pharisees. They were in bed with Rome. They were sellouts. But the thing about the Pharisees is that they were sellouts behind closed doors. The common folks did not know they were sellouts. Yahusha knew it. Well, that's what Yahusha's talking about, the leaven of the Pharisees and that they're hypocrites. It was also they were practicing what they did, but it was deeper than that. They were sellouts, but they were acting like they were for the people. Just like a Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, how they act like they really for the people. I'm for the cause. I'm for my black people. That was the Pharisees, but the whole time they in bed with Rome and they're being paid to just keep the status quo. Don't let nobody be too crazy. Don't let nobody, we don't need no, like messiahs or nothing like that. You feel me? We need all y'all to submit to Rome. We don't need none of that extra. Y'all go on and have y'all little Sabbath things or whatever y'all do and just whatever and keep paying y'all taxes to Rome. We through. Yes, boss. Yes, whatever you want. Whatever you want, sir. Whatever you need. But then get around the Israelites. Yeah, we Israelites. You feel me? All praise to the Most High. Fake. Fake is I don't know what. And Yahusha saw through it, man. Everybody loved the Pharisees and Yasharal. Y'all know the apostles followed the Pharisees. Peter had, even after Yahusha's resurrection, there was still stuff that Yahuwah had to purge out of Peter as far as Pharisaical doctrines. Y'all read the book of Acts. Like Peter, he still didn't sit down with Gentiles. That was a Pharisaical doctrine that you're not supposed, it's not in Torah, that you're not supposed to sit down and eat with Gentiles. If you sit down and eat with a Gentile, that food that you ate with him is unclean. It was something like, it's like not in Torah at all. It's super fair. It's a leaven from the Pharisees. Peter was still moving by that after Yahusha's resurrection. Yahuwah had to deal with Peter on all these Pharisaical doctrines because they followed the Pharisees. The whole time the Pharisees had these doctrines, they in bed with the Gentiles, y'all. Y'all see how crazy and hypocritical that is? They loved the Gentiles. They submitted to them because they comfortable. Even though everybody else is doing bad, they comfortable. So they happy with everything just staying how it is. Versus the tax collector. Y'all notice Yahusha was cool with the tax collectors a lot of times. Yahusha said, I'd rather you be hot or cold. See, the tax collector, the Pharisees were lukewarm. Tax collectors, they was just straight cold. They was like, yeah, I'm a sellout. Hey, look, I'm in bed with Rome. Y'all, come on. Come out, look at the money so I can give it to Rome, man. Come on. Yeah, come on, man. Come up out the money. Yo, y'all want me to call the Roman people down here? This ain't enough. I need some for myself. Come on with it. So everybody hated the tax collectors. They're like, the tax collectors are sellouts. But Yahusha, he like, well, at least they honest about them being sellouts, though. The Pharisees were so hypocritical, they would throw stones at the tax collectors. The Pharisees hated tax collectors when they were worse than the tax collectors. because they were just as much of a sellout as the tax collectors, but they was just hiding it. That's the leaven of the Pharisees. How are you going to go so hard against the tax collectors, you doing the same thing? They're so wicked. How are you going to be hanging out with them? Oh, man, you know, they in bed with Rome. They so wicked. You are too. What you talking about? Wait, hold on. How you know that, man? Hold on. You could just... Hey, y'all, we need to kill this dude, man. For real, that's why they wanted to kill Yahusha, man. Yahusha had their number, y'all. That's why Yahusha kept saying stuff like that. Yeah, whatever's in the dark gonna come to the light. If you telling them all this stuff, they knew he had their number, y'all. We got to figure out a way to get this dude. Anybody in here with hidden agendas? Anybody in here acting like they for Yahuwah, but they really for the world? Anybody in here coming as an informant? We had people in here who was in here acting like they were for the Most High, while the whole time they were being informants, leaking information out to people who hated us the whole time. Go ahead.
This is thing that happens with leaven and I guess you would say like the teachings from the world, where it's really subtle. It's super subtle, because what happens, you'll go into Pesach, or you hear the Melachim speak, and everybody be excited. We be, all that you say, we will do. But then this is what happens. You don't realize, and Yahuwah merciful, man. This Aruka, he merciful. Because really, the way you just explained that, it made me think like, okay, so Aruka is really about removing leaven. All Aruka is removing things that you learned in the past. I'll give you an example. We have our date night songs that we used to listen to. We had to turn them things off. I was like, oh, that's why our mindset on marriage is the way it is. Wow. We thought these were just super through songs. But all of a sudden now, yeah, you start listening to the lyrics, and I was like, oh, that's why I feel so strongly about this now. Right? So this thing that we said, all that you say we will do, all of a sudden it clashes with our ideologies and our culture. So Paul called this in Galatians, he called it the traditions of the elders. It's Galatians 1, he says something like, For I too was a Pharisee, exceedingly jealous for Judaism in the traditions of my elders, or something like that. But that word is in Greek is paradosis, and it really goes back to meaning like this thing that you're taught, that you grow up and you learn. So Aruka happens when you know this is what Yahuwah has said. It meets, but this is what I know to be true. Just the example you just gave. The whole mindset that, well, look, if you're going to do that in marriage, you need to tell everybody. Right. That whole mindset is crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Ain't nobody out here covering the Melachim. They're not marrying your daughter. So why you need to know? That mindset, that's our culture that taught us that. Because what we were taught, like, oh, well, if you doing something wrong, then you moving in secret. That's why you ain't say nothing, or turn your camera on. I mean, I'm just saying, if somebody talking, you should turn your camera on so we can see who's saying what. Because we don't know who's saying it. I know your name at the bottom, but I don't know. I can't read that. I'm sorry. That was too far. I'm sorry. Let me back up. Let me come back to the scriptures. It just be getting me a little animated, but and irritated. But this is my point, that Aruka will challenge the things that's stored inside of you. And when it happens, you're going to do one or two things. You're going to cling to what you know, or you're going to say, well, I guess I saw it the wrong way the whole time. That's one of the two things you're going to do. You're going to either say, man, well, I know Yahuwah spoke it, so I'm going to do exactly what he said. Or you're going to say, well, that was probably the Melachim. I thought it was Yahuwah at the time, but it was just probably, that's probably what they were saying. But the leaven is sneaky, y'all. Because man, I'm telling you, when you said that, Musha, I wish I would have said it then, but I was captivated. But it's really about removing the traditions of the things that you've been taught. Because you said if you still have the ways of Babylon, you're a Babylonian. If your blood hasn't been cleansed, if you have the blood on the door but it's not cleansed, you're a Mitzrite still. You're an Egyptian still. If you believe that things are wrong, because that's what Pharisees did. So Pharisees, like what you were saying, they kept the traditions of the elders. So this is kind of what happened. All right, I'm trying to be quick. So there's basically, so when you look at some of the older doctrines and things, the way that they viewed the scriptures was in three parts. I won't go through like the Hebrew words, but you had the Torah, which was what was actually written. The second part was the understanding of what was written, but then the third part was the gate that they built around the understanding of what was written. You get what I'm saying? So there's these three areas, these three parts. The Torah, which is thou shalt not murder. The understanding, which was, okay, well, what does that mean to murder? And then there was the gate or the hedge they built around it to say, okay, to avoid murder, we're going to do this thing. You follow me? So what the Pharisees did is they took the things where the gate that was built around it, and then they said, this is now law because this gives us power. For example, that's why they said, why are you picking up your bed on the Shabbat? You working. Why you heal a man? They even had one that was like, you can't carry water if it don't fit in a leaf. But it was all built around the Torah, which was rest on the Shabbat. But these things is what became the culture in those days. That's why when Yahusha would show up and he'd be like, stretch out your arm, and he healed that man, everybody was freaking out. Like, whoa, that don't match the traditions that we've been taught. Why he doing that? Or when Yahusha would walk through the grain field with his disciples, and they would pick and pluck and eat the corn, they were like, man, y'all working on the Shabbat. But you're not going to find that in scriptures. Matter of fact, he responds with scripture and says, didn't David eat the bread? And there's like, man, your disciples didn't wash their hands before they ate. But Yahusha's like, that don't make nobody unclean. It's what goes in. It what comes out of a man that makes him unclean. So Yahusha, the whole time he was there, he's combating these ideologies and these cultures, and that's what we do today. That's the same thing that's happening today, because Christianity taught you and taught me that this is how marriage looks. This is what the Shabbat, they don't even do the Shabbat on Sunday, and we just believed it, like, oh, okay. They taught all these things, and now when Aruka hit, we're dealing with these things in our mind, especially the generation that's, over maybe 20. We're dealing with these things in our mind where now it feels strange to us, really, because we ain't know Alua. Because I'm excited about what you're bringing out. But this is my point, that the whole thing that we dealing with is dealing with what we've learned versus thus says Yahuwah. Yahuwah said, this is what marriage looks like. This is what submission looks like. As a man, this is what it looks like for you to submit to another man. Elisha called Elijah father. Do that. But with us, it's like, nah, I don't need no dad. I'm 20. I don't need no dad. I'm through. I'm a grown man now. I'm 18 years old. I could join the army. I can't buy liquor, but I could join the army. I'm a grown man. I don't need you to tell me what to do. Or even Akio. It's like, we were taught Akio don't get along. But Yahusha's like, I command y'all to be curtains. Isha code. I command y'all to be bordered around what I'm building. One unit. But what we were taught is, you can't do that because women are messy. Don't join her because she's going to talk about you behind your back. That's the culture that we've been taught. That's the leaven in us. That's what kept us from being a cod, because we still had leaven. I'm talking about myself too. I was talking to Mushal about it right before we left for Pesach. I was like, man, I ain't even know that was in me, but I'm glad you showed me. Because when he said, hey, look, you got this going on, I agreed with it. And that's the mindset we have to have. This goes back to knowing that Yahuwah called you to be here. I'm sorry, Mushal. I know you wrote 5 words on the board. Nah, I'm done. That's it. I'm done. I'm done.
Fully paying attention. You in there? I was just getting that up now. So you know what I'm saying, that's the Hebrew word for leaven, chametz. But what he was saying is huge though, seriously. Cause that's really what leaven, that's the big part of leaven, is the ideologies that we would learn what we brought up when we saw it in the Brit Hadashah. Like the way he communicated, that was huge. That's exactly what Yahusha was dealing with, and that's what we're dealing with today. So nevertheless, the Hebrew word for leaven is chametz. So that's a het. That's what it's supposed to be. That's supposed to be a mem. You know what I'm talking about? And that's a sadi. You know what I'm saying? A het, mem, sadi. You know what I'm saying? So basically, chametz or leaven, it's about dividing the waters for a stronghold. Another way you can look at this, or it's about a wall of waters, a wall of water to snare. Y'all know the sadi could be a snare, a stronghold, a trap. You know, a wall. The head is a wall. Mem means the waters, chaos, etc., etc. A wall of waters to snare. What happened on the first unleavened bread? Pesach, the children of Israel were left out of all their houses, right? And then you went on, if you read it, you'll notice it was on unleavened bread when Yahuwah did what? He made a wall of waters. That did what? It snared the enemy. Yeah. Or he divided the waters. It's another way to look at it, dividing the waters. Dividing the waters for a stronghold. It's about dividing the waters for a stronghold. So when Yahuwah divided the waters on unleavened bread and caused the children of Israel to walk through on dry ground and then destroyed Mitzrayim in the waters, that's the concept of leaven. That's an aspect of the breakdown of leaven. Because so those who are unleavened were able to make it through the waters. Those with leaven in them, which represented Mitzrayim, were destroyed in those same waters. You see what I'm saying? Those who are unleavened, the destroyer passed over their houses. Those with leaven still in their house, they lost their firstborn in that house. I submit that anyone who had leaven in their house, they did not put blood on that doorpost. I submit that the people who had these things still in them, sin, pride, secrets, impurities, rebellion, insecurities, hypocrisy, bad doctrine, when Moshe said put that blood on that doorpost, they like, nah, I'm gonna kill the lamb though. I'm gonna do that part, but I ain't gonna put the blood on the doorpost. Man, that's they doing too much. It'd be all right. It'd be all right. I'm gonna run out there when they say the time to leave. They're gonna be like, man, look, the people who had any of these things in them, man, they ain't put that blood on the door. They ain't do no dip it in the hyssop. Look, man, I'm gonna put the blood on the doorpost. You know what I'm saying? I can't find no hyssop. Ain't nobody finna do all that. They doing too much. What we doing that for? What that gonna do? Just put the blood on the doorpost. Just use one of them acacia trees over there, man, and do the blood on the doorpost, man. And boom, man, look. I bet you if they put the blood on the doorpost but didn't dip it in the hyssop, boom, firstborn still gone, even though they had blood on the doorpost. Oh, yeah, those are Egyptians right there. Destroyer walk by, look at them as Mitzrites. That's the leaven. That's the leaven. And then the last thing that I want to look at is Aruka, because that's associated with getting the leaven out of your house. Aruka, okay? So this is the Hebrew word for Aruka. It's Aleph, Resh, Uwa, Kaf, Hey. Y'all know the biblical Hebrew, huh? I'm just trying to save time, you know what I'm saying? That pictograph a little bit harder for me, so just gonna keep it easy for right now. Aleph, Resh, Uwa, Kaf, Hey. Aruka. The Aleph, strong leader. The Resh, chief. Uwa, secure. The Kaf is a open hand for blessing or receiving, giving or receiving. And you have the Hey, revelation, worship, submission, etc., etc. The breakdown is Aruka. It's about Yahuwah's chiefs, Yahuwah's heads being secured to the blessings of the Ruach HaKodesh. It's about Yahuwah's heads being secured to the blessings of the Ruach HaKodesh. The way you are secured to the blessings of the Ruach HaKodesh, you have to go through Aruka. You can't be a habitation of demons. You're supposed to be a habitation of the Ruach HaKodesh. That's why the scriptures say if you go through deliverance and they find and all them ruachs come out, but they find that house empty, they coming back. No, you go through deliverance so you can get the unclean, the demons out of you, so you can be filled on a whole nother level with the Ruach HaKodesh. The spirit of the Most High, the Kodesh spirit. You get what I'm saying? Another way you can look at this, I need to pray on it, but I'm pretty sure this is probably another aspect, is Yahuwah's heads being secured to the blessings through submission or through reverence. Because you're not going to really be able to truly do that without going through Aruka. You're not going to be able to really truly do that as far as have the reverence, truly be able to move in submission without Aruka. How are you going to be able to move? All of y'all Akio, y'all want to be married one day. How are you going to be able to do that and you don't know how to submit? Everybody thinks they know how to submit until it's time to submit. Everybody thinks that. I'm talking about Akio in marriage. That's a whole nother level than submitting to, leadership in the assembly. It's different, y'all. It's a whole nother level, trust me. You're not with leadership in the assembly 24/7. You're not with the leadership in the assembly all the time at home. You're not sharing your bank account with leadership in the assembly. You're not sharing children with leadership in the assembly. Well, my Isha is. But y'all get what I'm talking about. Y'all get what I'm saying. Y'all get the point, okay? It's a whole nother level when you're talking about submission in marriage. You think you can submit to your husband? You think you're going to be able to submit in marriage because you submit to the Melachim? You see the Melachim 5 times a year in person? Not even that much. No, it's a whole nother level. It's an every day, all day. You're not cleaning up after the Melachim like that. You're not sharing a room with the Melachim like that. You're not sharing a room with leaders in the Austin tribe like that. You're not doing none of that. It's a whole nother level, y'all, in marriage. And you're not going to be able to trust me. Everybody, I'm telling you, people who never been married before, they had this idea. Because the scriptures say the woman's supposed to submit. I don't understand why they don't just submit. You talking down on the other female, the married female. Because if it were me, because the Bible say the woman's supposed to submit. That's all I'm saying. Let me get married. Watch how I show, and then you get married and you be crying. Oh, so dear. Y'all be in the counseling room with me and the Met. It's so hard. It's so hard. Telling y'all, you gotta go through Aruka, y'all, to be able to truly move in submission in a way that's pleasing to the Most High. Because that was another leaven that we learned here is how to be rebellious. The Babylonian leaven is be rebellious to your husband. Reality TV, basketball wives type of wife. Y'all marriage goals before this truth was Jay-Z and Beyonce. Jada and Will Smith. The marriage goals right there. You said that. See, I was repeating you. Look at that. Y'all messed me up. Oh, man. The Cosby song. Yeah, that's a through point though. We don't know what no real submission is. You got something, Ema? Let's get the mic back there. We don't know what we don't like. You have to have Aruka to be able to really get that down.
Shalom, Kafel Houdin. I just wanted you to, can you say that last definition of Aruka? You said Yahuwah's heads being secured to the
blessing through submission
Torah.
or reverence. But the one that's for sure, because I actually prayed on, was it's about Yahuwah's chiefs or Yahuwah's heads being secure to the blessings of the Ruach HaKodesh. You had that one? Okay.
Torah.
Most definitely. What are some blessings of the Ruach HaKodesh? What about the fruits of the Spirit? The fruits of the Spirit? Love, joy, peace, patience, long-suffering, gentleness, self-control, goodness, faithfulness. Y'all know. You're not going to be able to truly move in that without Aruka. You got to have Aruka to move in that, to bear the fruits of the Ruach. Yeah, that's why Yahusha said you'll know them by their fruits. Because someone who's faking it, they not gonna be able. Someone who's faking it, they ain't been through Aruka, they're not gonna be able to bear these fruits, the fruits of the Ruach. There's only so much you can do in public on the facade, but after you with somebody over time, you start seeing the real them. You be like, oh snap. Aruka is the token, y'all. That's how you bear the fruits of the Spirit. That's how you secure yourself to receive the blessings of the Ruach HaKodesh and be able to bear fruit. Because see, when you present yourselves, you're coming and bring. What do you think the Most High is inspecting? One of the things He's inspecting is your fruit. Just like when He walked up to the fig tree, He was trying to see the fruit. He was looking for the fruit. I submit the Most High, when you presenting yourselves in these 3 times a year, your fruit is being inspected. And in order for you to bear the fruits of the Ruach HaKodesh, you have to go through. Now is that making sense? If you're dealing with any of these things, any of these things of leaven, sin. So sin would be anything that's just anything against the Most High, against Torah. So that's super leaven if you moving in sin. Hopefully there ain't nobody moving in sin. Like, let's say adultery, idolatry, fornication, lies, et cetera, et cetera. That's like, man, crazy living right there. But pride, secrets, impurities, rebellion, insecurities, hypocrisy, bad doctrine, you still have. That means there's still some areas of Aruka you need. If you did, there's a whole lot more to the list, but that's just what y'all, some of the stuff y'all brought out. There's areas of Aruka needed. You see what I'm saying? Go ahead. Because you're not going to be able to bear the fruits of the Ruach if you got these in you, are you? No. All right, go ahead. Oh, man, which also is enemies of Ikar. My bad, go ahead.
You show Mushal? Okay, so when I say this, Mushal gonna know what I'm talking about. Well, he may not. Okay, I remember when, I think it was Malek Yahusha touched Mushal and the prophecy was going forward. And the first thing the Most High started saying was, you clean every crevice in your house, but what about your insides? That's what you kept saying repeatedly over and over and over. He kept saying that through you. So I just was saying that it goes back to what this is saying. That's why Yahuwah gave mercy for people to be reached out to before we went to Pesach. That's why Yahuwah gave mercy to show us different things before, because that was like your window, right, to go before the Most High on those certain things. Because he was showing you like this, that thing right now that could mess you up. But I just wanted to say that the whole lesson is basically the prophecy that he had spoken.
But yeah, that's it. All praise to the Most High. Hallelujah.
Rebirth of a nation. Hebrew kingdom building.